All right, hello class. Welcome to week 2 of being in quarantine. Um, Today, I want to talk a little bit about a couple things. One, we're going to talk about narrowing your topic down, and two, we're going to talk about your multimodal composition. Now, your multimodal composition is going to be essentially your the project that we're working on right now, the revamping of your problem analysis paper, done in a multimodal format. So we're going to talk about that today. First, let's talk about narrowing your topic. One of the things that people are worried about when writing a paper is, am I going to run out of things to say? I'm supposed to write a paper that's so many words long, so many pages long, and I'm worried I'm not going to have enough to say. So they keep their topic really, really broad, um, and it's actually easier to run out of things to say when you're talking broad than if you're focused on something narrow, something that's easy to dig into detail on. It's getting more information out via detail is easier when you have something specific. So if I tried to describe an entire building, it's hard to tell where to start. But if I got into a room in a building, well, now I can get my hands around that. I can see specific things to talk about and to get into detail on. Or better yet, a part of that room or a specific desk. I can give the dimensions on it. I can give the colors on it, the shapes on it. So stay focused. If you're too broad right now, bring it down to something you can really get your hands around and discuss in detail. In the links for this week, I've given you an example of a thought process that can go into narrowing a topic as well as some strategies. So please review those. Those should give you a lot of help in kind of bringing everything down to a level where you can really wrap your hands around the topic. Now, from there, what I want to talk about is your multimodal project. Now, what multimodal means, multi meaning more than one, modal meaning modes of communication. Um, when we're talking about a multimodal composition, we're talking about something, for example, like a PowerPoint. Now, with a PowerPoint, you have images. That's one form of communication. You have text. That's another form of communication. You might have charts and graphs. That's another way of conveying information. You might have music in the background. That's another way. You might have links. That's another way. So all of these different ways of communicating information combine to make your argument. And the way that our brains work, the more ways we process information, the more convincing that information becomes. So what you try to do is allow in creating multimodal composition is to effectively convey your point in a variety of methods. And all you're going to be doing for this is looking at your paper and saying, okay, I'm writing this paper on this topic. How can I convey this using multimodality? So you might do a PowerPoint, you might do a Prezi, you might do a video, you might do a radio advertisement. Radio advertisements, for example, right? You use words, you use music, you use sound effects, right? All of those are ways of communicating the information. So consider who your audience might be for this. Consider how you might best reach them. Is it a PowerPoint? Is it a Prezi? Is it a video? Is it something, if you have experience in mixing sound, is it a song? I mean, how can you best get this information across in a rhetorically effective manner? So what I'm going to be looking at as I'm grading this, is it engaging? Is this something that actually is done in a smooth manner, or is it really clunky with poor transitions? Do you develop your ideas, right? Do you have a complete thought there? This would include your facts, your statistics, your research. Do you have your naysayer as a part of this? Is your narrative effectively conveyed through this as well? Do you have an audience for this? In other words, do you have somebody that this is directed at that is clear from the way that you compose it? Or is it just kind of randomly put together? How do you establish your ethos, right? Do you have good sources? Is your language appropriate for your audience? Do you have facts? Do you have statistics to back up your information? Do you hit pathos? Is there an emotional component to this that makes people not only hear your information but feel it? How's your logos? Do you have a logical argument that is easily conveyed through this? How's your visual grammar? Right? Now, some of you may do something that is not visually based. For example, like a radio advertisement. If that's what you do, that's fine. But then what I'm going to look at is your audio grammar, right? So, for example, your music, your sound effects, do those convey the message that is consistent with the argument that you're making? And then what we call advocacy, and I want to spend a little bit of time on advocacy because this is where your papers are going to be going. This is how we're going to be developing your paper right now, as well as your multimodal project. What I mean by advocacy is that you're not just here to inform people. You want them to actually do something, to make something happen. For example, if you're saying that there is a problem with the way that, let's say, law enforcement agencies interact with the African American community, right? If you're saying that there's a problem, well, what do you want done? And just saying, well, I want them to stop, isn't enough. What do you want done that's different right now to get them to stop? Do we need more programs that connect the community to the police force? Do we need stricter regulations? Do we need body cams that are on all the time? And who are you talking to try to get this to happen? In other words, think about who your audience is going to be. How are you going to communicate with them in a way that is going to get that particular audience to do the thing that you want them to do? So if you're talking to the government, right, if you're talking to, let's say, the person that you want to talk to is the governor of Oklahoma, and you want him to get a law, him and the Congress, the Oklahoma Congress, right, congressmen and representatives, to pass laws for body cams all the time. Doing that in song form might not be your best bet. You'd probably want to go with something more professional like a PowerPoint, okay? But if, on the other hand, what you're trying to do is get community activism, right, then maybe a song is the way to go, okay? So consider who your audience is and what you actually want them to do, okay? This is what advocacy means. It is a call to action. It is a call to get something done. Before you write that, you need to understand who your audience is, what the best rhetorical techniques are to reach that particular audience, and what rhetorical buttons to push to get that to happen. So is pathos your best route? Is logos your best route for this audience? What's going to move this audience to action? So look at that within your multimodality, all right? So this will be due just like your final paper at the end of the term. So we want that to come together. We want them to work together. In the meantime, I want you to make sure that you're keeping up with your discussion boards. Okay, do not fall behind on those. Make sure that you are doing the weekly homework. I'll have that posted here with under content, so make sure you get that done. And keep up with the videos and read the links. And that's going to keep informing what we're trying to accomplish on a weekly basis. Make sure that you're setting your weekly appointments with me as well as with the tutors. That is attendance, and attendance is still mandatory. It's going to be more on your own schedule. You're going to have more freedom as far as when those are, but it is still mandatory. If you have any questions, please email me at mhoward@langston.edu or just set an appointment with me through www.langston.mywconline. In the meantime, guys, stay safe, stay sheltered, don't go out of the house unless you have to, keep your hands washed and keep your hands off your face. Have a great one, guys. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.